were more nervous to make sure that our friendship didn't get affected. You know, that was the biggest thing in all of this, because businesses open and close, but friendships are, you know, that was really important for both of us.
Stayed together whilst you were building the baby. So during those heated sort of times, how did you maintain that friendship? Considering how competitive the landscape is, especially in Dubai, were you scared at all, or were you like, no, I'm going to full attack and make sure that everything is on point?
I think the world is moving towards specialization. We have a great team and there's great insight, but we wanted to specialize into something and give that to the market.
What is it, do you think, that people are so drawn to supper clubs in the first place? Hello, my friends, and a very warm welcome back to the Chef JKP Podcast. Wherever you're listening from today, maybe you're in the middle of service, maybe you're driving, maybe you're pretending to work whilst secretly listening to this show. A very warm welcome. I'm glad you're here. But before we dive in, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that all-important subscribe button on YouTube, or press follow wherever you get your podcasts, as it helps us to grow the show and keep on bringing the most fascinating conversations with, of course, the most inspirational guests. That is all we will ever ask of you. Now, we had to kick off the season with a bang. We have got not one, but two guests, a powerhouse duo, two of the most exciting entrepreneurs in Dubai's dining scene. Both have been on the show before, that's right. But this time they have teamed up. Panchali and Neha are the founders behind Tessa Kuri, the hand-roll restaurant that has become one of Dubai's most talked about places. Well, not just in Dubai, in the region, I would say. But here's what I love about their story. Both of them have got amazing venues already. So, take Neha, for example. Kinoya didn't start as a restaurant. It started as a supper club in her house. Imagine that. People queuing for amazing bowls of ramen in a private apartment. Why? Because the word had spread that something very special was happening in that kitchen. And that little supper club eventually turned into a restaurant that is now recognized as the #1 best restaurant in Dubai. Not bad for something that began with a simple bowl of ramen. And Panchali, the CEO of Atelier House Hospitality, she loves to get stuck into operations, go through the details that also will make a successful business. She has a serious eye for all things hospitality and spotting talent. Today, we're going to talk about friendship, entrepreneurship, hospitality, resilience, and the beautiful chaos that is all about building a restaurant brand. Panchali and Neha, it was an honor to have you back into the studio. Listen out for a story about the 50 Best Gala event in Abu Dhabi. Time to rock and roll.
Hi guys, my name is Panchali Mahendra and I am the CEO of Atelier House Hospitality. If you like the podcast, make sure to follow, share, and subscribe.
Hi guys, my name is Neha Mishra and I'm a chef. If you like the podcast, make sure you follow, share, and subscribe.
Panchali and Neha, a very warm welcome back to the show. Now, normally, I would ask you about your childhood food memories, but you've both been here before, so I want to ask you something completely different. Now, we are here, first of all, to discuss your new baby between the two of you. Tessa Kuri, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so can I ask, first of all, who called who for this idea?
She called me for the dinner party. And then I slid in her DM the next day
Okay.
to do this concept together. Yes.
All right. So tell me about the dinner party first of all, Neha.
I mean, it wasn't as random as that. We used to talk every day. We were very good friends, very close friends at that point, and we'd have our morning conversations every day. So when she called me, it was a routine call, but it was a new spin to that call. The dinner party, it was, I like to host at home a lot. We both do. And I was having a birthday party of some sort. And I wanted to do hand rolls, but as DIY kits, because it was just easy and interactive, and I didn't want to cook a lot. And Panchali's always loved the hand rolls at Kinoya. She loves Kinoya. She's been massively supportive of Kinoya for a very long time. So she was over the moon when we did this DIY, and she was the most enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
And the next day, we had our routine call in the morning, and she said, "Do you know what? That was fantastic. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we open a place that just does hand rolls?" And bear in mind, it had been on both our radars for a long time. When I opened Kinoya, I knew that, so now that's 5 years ago, but 6 years ago, really, I remember thinking there was a real spike in temaki bars around the world, especially in New York. So, it was something that was on our minds. And so when she asked me, it was an instant yes.
So Panchali, I want to know, obviously you had the beautiful dinner party, which was great. So on the way home, on the drive back, did you have the initial idea to call her the next day, or were you sort of thinking about it the whole night? Did it keep you up?
I think the whole inception of doing something with Neha had started the first time I went to a supper club in 2018. It was 11th of September. Wow, 9/11. And it was a birthday gift to me. I think the whole idea, when I had her food for the first time, I knew I had to do something with her. And, it was such a weird move. When I left, I don't know why I was carrying my business card. And when I left her dinner party, like the supper club, I left my card with her saying, call me if you want to do something. And so I think the whole process started almost 7 years back. And even before that, like I said, we have been very close friends, and, we have spoken a lot about doing different things. And we traveled to India, and we thought, let's, consider this country because we're both Indians. But I think that one particular day, eating temakis and hand rolls at Kinoya, I knew that she had aced what I wanted to do it, because I had traveled a lot before that to Seoul and Bangkok and New York, and I knew this was coming up in some way. And if I had to do it, something in the more purest Japanese side, it had to be with Chef Neha. So I think that night, something sparked, and it just... it's the timing, and it's the stars that just align. And I know it's not easy for her to say yes to anything and to anybody. She's one of the hardest nuts to crack. So the next morning, I think it was more like, hey, I did not expect her to say yes. It was just more like, we should consider this, and I think it would be fun. And there was an immediate yes. She didn't take a beat.
No, I
She's
didn't.
like, yes, I think so. So I was like, oh, okay.
So then, out of that initial conversation, and then, you obviously, how quickly did you have to sort of do the business plan and that kind of thing? So what started unraveling?
It was really organic. I think there's a process to this, right? You start a conversation, you see your alignment. I mean, it was such a seamless project in terms of our alignment that I feel like from start to finish, it just...
Yeah, the ball kept rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a location in a month's time of speaking with each other, or 2 months rather.
2 months.
We found our head chef, the restaurant manager, and everything just kept falling in place. I think from the moment we started our conversation in 2024, August, and by, within a year's time, the restaurant was open, the conversation, everything. So it just, this is what it's, when something is meant to be, it'll happen. And it just kept falling in a lap. And it's just been very organic and very smooth process.
And were you sort of apprehensive or not at all, considering how competitive the landscape is when it comes to sort of that style of food, Asian food, especially in Dubai? It seems that so many people trying to do it, and some do it obviously extremely well, such as yourselves, and others fail at it. So were you scared at all, or were you like, no, I'm going to full attack and make sure that everything is on point?
I think once you make that decision, then, you're on a moving train, and of course there's going to be a little bit of, nervousness, and but you can only make the product that you want to make, right? And you have to have confidence in that, and the rest is, there's no crystal ball with this, with what we do. We go in with a good partnership, with a great product. I think we were more nervous to make sure that our friendship didn't get affected. That was the biggest thing in all of this, because yes, businesses open and close, but friendships are, that was really important for both of us. So yeah, of course there were the usual points of, nervousness or apprehension, but nothing that was going to deter us from what we were doing. We knew we wanted to do this.
But also part two to that question is that I think the world is moving towards specialization. And also I think one of the biggest success for Kinoya was the ramen, because she specialized in that bowl. And I think with Tessa Kuri, it was all about temakis. And of course, at a larger onset, it's become a full-on purist Japanese restaurant, because you're just like, wow, we have a great team and this great insight, but we wanted to specialize into something and give that to the market. So we knew that there is a standhold to provide a product that does not exist right now. And with that quality, with that sort of team and the produce and the knowledge and the know-how.
And I hadn't even been to any of the hand roll bars in Dubai, because I still haven't. Wow. I will, of course, but especially leading up to this project, it was really important that I didn't have any other noise in my head. I knew what I wanted us to have, and we both agreed on what we wanted, our product to be, and yeah, so there was a tunnel vision involved in what we were trying to do. And yeah, I think we did that.
I want to ask, because you touched on a really amazing point, and you see it quite frequently when it comes to restaurants or any other business, in fact. You touched upon, it was very, very important that the friendship stayed together whilst you were building the baby. So during those heated sort of times when you're both sort of passionate, let's say, how did you maintain that friendship?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go first.
I think the beauty of this project was that Neha and I started this at a very mature age. At the point of fact where she has seen her line of success and I had seen mine. And we both came from a place where we were just like, this was going to be to make money for our family and, to keep a legacy behind. And there was nothing else in there. There was no ego. There was no pride. There was no honor as such to to win the accolades or have that sort of a limelight. So when you kind of exclude that from the line of vision, then I think it becomes very clear that we are just working for one thought process, and that's the P&L. And that both of us are very sure of. And I personally think that now that, she's like she is my sister, we're like yin and yang. I'm a bit more hyper and, I get angry really quickly. I'm impatient. And she's the exact opposite. So there were times when obviously, I needed somebody to tell me I've got your back. She was there. And when she needed those moments, that when she can also have those down moments, I was like, you've had my back, I have yours too. So there was a lot of maturity in this project that came in with a lot of patience and virtue. And the same working integrity, ethos, and love and passion.
Because I can imagine, of course, you're both extremely successful in what you both do. You both have a name in the industry, to uphold. So it's really incredible that you've managed to combine that. Mm-hmm. And I think it takes, as you said, it's a lot of maturity and making sure that sort of ego is out the way to ensure that you're working together towards that incredible goal.
Yes.
Honestly. Now, when it came to once you had the location secured, how did you then start to, first of all, get the design of the restaurant in place?
I mean, it's, you start with a canvas and you start putting your thoughts together, and, we were putting both our combined thoughts together, and I think very quickly we realized we were on the same track. There was not a single point during this project where I was like, whoa, that's not, what we're thinking. We were completely, so there was so much compatibility on this project. And so once we started putting our thoughts on paper and working with a designer, we realized that it was really beautiful. This project was really meant to be because it came together so seamlessly. Yeah. We both knew that we wanted that minimalist aspect to it. It had to be very, it had to reflect Japanese architecture and, philosophy and kind of, design element. So we were on completely on the same page with that. And again, it snowballed this, ideas, and how that idea, through the help of our designer, was being able to execute that into a bigger vision, more kind of, renders coming together. But we had a very big part to play in every aspect of the design. We were very involved. It wasn't like there you go, give us something. It was very much like, we want this and we don't want this. Actually, what we knew was what we didn't want. And that's always a good place to start with anything.
So when it came to the designing prospect, how was that sort of initial chat with the restaurant designer?
See, I mean, first of all, we'd been for each other's homes, and I'd seen Kinoya and she'd seen my restaurant. So we knew our aesthetics were aligned somewhere, that, there was no gap in the concept vision when we created to, give the landlords the first concept presentation that you do.
Right.
So we sat through nights together and just like, oh, I like this mood board. And that's what you do. You create a mood board to understand. And every time, I would send her 10 things and I knew what were my top 3, it was hers too, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, and then we just started like, okay, these are the Pantones that we like. This is the light wood. I knew, looking at Kinoya, what she would want. So I think that kind of played back in my head too. So every time I would present something, it would be like a bit more minimalistic, and everywhere my little maximalism came in. Still, I don't know how to use the term. Minimalistic maximalism.
Yeah.
She would hold my hand and she's like, okay, I'll let you have this, but that's it. So held my hand.
But it was funny towards the end, the team would send us a panel of anything separately, send it to me, and we'd both come back with the same choice. And it would be like a massive panel of wood selection, wood panels, and anything. And so we were really aligned.
Very aligned.
And where we did need to have that kind of maximalism in place, Panchali was perfect for it, because I would have gone too muted. So we were.
Yeah, but Neha took a lead on the design with Summer, our designer, and I wanted her to also have her say, and because I have loved her aesthetic, so I knew that she would do a good job. And then I just told her I just want my inputs and a little bit of decoration here and there, because that's what I like, making flowers, foliages and stuff.
But that is the fun part. That is the most fun part. I think we've done this, you've done this much more, but even in my experience, the times that I've done it, that's the best bit, where you kind of, when you're brainstorming that kind of, seeing it come to life, because it's still a bit of a fantasy at that time. Then stuff gets real after that.
It does. I mean, James, we were traveling also quite extensively the last whole year, and every place we both went to, we were collecting our vinyls, because everything that we stopped buying stuff for ourselves, and we just kept buying things for Tessa Kuri and bringing it back. So that shows that those passions that we have over 300 vinyls right now, and that Neha and I have collected over the year, and just from every country, from Korea, from here, there. And I think this is where then it starts becoming real. And then, man, this is a real partnership and a collaboration. This is not just a restaurant. There's so much love that people now come towards and see, but it's been curated for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
But for anybody who hasn't been to the space, just describe for me the sort of journey that you want the guests to see and feel.
I mean, first reaction for everybody else who has walked into Tessa Kuri has always said they don't feel like they're in Dubai, and primarily being in downtown, because they just get transformed into Japan, because there's so much Zen energy in it. I mean, sometimes we laugh. Some people from outside think it could be a spa. It's like, wow, it's too
that's good. I think
too
that's
Zen.
Good.
But I think, the whole asphalt flooring of the stoneworks, and giving that, again, a very, very natural and a nature-drawn woodwork, with the stoneware, with the lighting and the mood and everything else. It's very transformative from the hustle and bustle of downtown to just go into that whole zone of like the craftsmanship and the art of hand rolls and temakis and the chefs and the discipline that comes in.
Yeah, and it's also grown up. I mean, I feel like I was saying to, again, Panchali's done this a million times, but for me, it also shows it's a reflection of evolution as a chef, as a restaurateur, because for me, when I look at Kinoya, which is so beautiful and I love it so much, but Tessa Kuri is that elevation, it just takes it up a little bit. And that's your experience, that's your time. Those are things that you wish you could have done, and now you're being able to put it in place. And so and the speakeasy, our speakeasy is so beautiful. There's nothing like that in Dubai. Again, that was such a labor of love for both of us, because that's when we could really be like, okay, this is just purely for vibes, right? Because it's not about the food, although we do have great food in there as well. But the whole place is just, there's a maturity to it. There's a quiet luxury, quiet confidence in there, and it is slightly for a discerning palate, and it shows that from the moment you walk in. If you go to Kinoya, it plays hip hop, and I love that, because that was me 7 years ago. Did I want to do that in a new space in terms of the all-encompassing experience? Not necessarily, because that's not where we are in our lives. I don't want to be a middle-aged,
hip hop.
It's okay.
You can be in your own space,
course,
but
yeah.
I think it just, restaurants for restaurateurs are a reflection of where they are in life as well. So I think
it's a very good point.
It shows where we are in our lives.
Then when it came to food and design and the chef, how did you begin to curate that?
I mean, look, I make it easy in the sense that I go really hyper-focus on one thing. And here, Kinoya is noodles and broth. Tessa Kuri is rice. This is a rice restaurant. And it's every culture has their own interpretation of rice. Rice is so integral to, so many different kind of cuisines. And of course for Japanese, and I could really deep dive into that one singular thing, and everything is built around it. Ramen is built around that, beautiful kind of batch of noodles. Tamakis are built, everything in this, like we had to start with the rice. We knew that was key. And in fact, on my way here, I was just looking at my posts, and March 2024, on the 25th of March, is when I started my rice. I was already making rice for this project at that point. So that's more than a year. It's going to be 2 years.
Yeah, 2025,
yeah.
Exactly a year.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to, it's reverse engineering with the menu. What do you want it to say? What do you want it to say about yourself? And, it had to be a product that was only made by us, and that's why we have these iterations in our rice. We have 3 different kinds of rice, because it was important to stand out and focus on the principle and the purity and the beauty of this one ingredient, because to me that's what Japanese food is. It's that singular thing, and how we kind of build everything around that. And almost it's almost like a form of, like, I don't know, it's quite like a bit of a devotion around this one singular thing.
Yeah, but it goes back to the name, handmade, artisan,
yes, exactly.
Craftsmanship.
And when what I love about Japanese cuisine, is that it's you can't hide behind it's rice and fish. That's it. You're going to have to speak with just that. There's no sauces, there's no layering and hiding and herbs and this and that. It's as bare bones as it can be, and so you can't hide what you've made. And so it was a challenge, and I think people taste it now and go, oh, I see, your intention. And it's the same with the ramen. I always say, when people ask me what makes a good bowl of ramen, I say, you'll taste the intention, and you should be able to. It's the same thing with the tamaki. When you taste one of our tamakis, you should be able to go, oh wow, I got a paper cut from our nori, because it was so sharp. But again, just because it's sharp, it can't be fishy. It has to have the right amount of umami. I mean, our nori research was extensive, and then of course the rice was, we had to. So the menu was just deep dive, hyper focus, and do the best of that one thing that you're trying to make.
But how challenging was that then for the both of you to sort of do that deep dive, to really geek out and to ensure that you were doing the very best that you could, not just by the Japanese culture, but by your skills, and you're serving, and you knew that you're going to be serving to incredibly discerning palates, especially now with both of your names behind it.
Well, your partner is your critique, that she's there to tell me like where I'm going with this, because you can, as the person creatively involved, can get lost in it, but Panchali has a great palate, and I trusted it. That was the most important thing, that we had tasted enough food outside before we decided on Tessa Kuri to be like, okay, we like the same things, we don't like the same things as well.
The only challenge for me was, for 3 months I just kept eating rice. So just rice and nori.
But she was bang on the money every time,
Yeah, but it was amazing, because then you start understanding and tasting, like this one has more sweetness, or this one has, a bit more like tartness to it, or the rice and the quality. And that is where the real research was. And I didn't have to be, but they involved me in every process and every line that, with our head chef too. I mean, it was amazing. Because just to see them, it's like, are we going to make anything else? Because for 3 months, we're just doing rice and nori tasting. But then that's when, as an investor, I'm rest assured that if they're taking that much time to just nail the essence of it, then the rest of the menu I don't have to be worried about, because I know it's going to be bang on.
So when it came to the head chef, then how were you able to source that person?
It was the thing that we started doing first.
Yes.
Once we had the location. So my emphasis was, right, let's find the right person now. Panchali was amazing in kind of like, literally, I think she would send me like 70 CVs a day.
Before that, she had given me some of her non-negotiables. And that was very important. I think it's important that chef partners do that, or with investors. And one of our non-negotiables, like our head chef has to be Japanese, because we're not compromising on that. I can do whatever else, but I think on the onset, when it looks like it, she wanted a Japanese head chef, and most of the team to come from Japan.
Yeah.
So,
and it had to be, because as much as I can, I'm honorary Japanese spirit in my heart and soul, there's a level of knowledge that only comes from being born into it, right? And I think that my whole journey, even with Kinoya now, has been, I've surrounded myself with enough experts to guide me through it as well, because I can have a vision, but I also need to know the right and wrong. Like what can you do, and what are the limitations? What's definitely not okay. Ramen is different. It's so much more contemporary, right? Because it's one of the only principles in Japanese cuisine where you can freestyle. There are no rules. Sushi is not like that. Sushi is extremely regimented. It's very disciplined. So again, you have to be even more conscious of the fact that you're following the craft exactly as it should be, and that comes from somebody from there. So yeah, Japanese chef was non-negotiable.
So how did you source that person?
I mean, we were getting great CVs. You sent me.
We, through our, database, and my LinkedIn is quite strong. So I think sometimes it's reaching out people and then seeing who's available around, and speaking to some chefs in Japan, everywhere else. And she was speaking. So once we put the word out that we're looking for a head chef, we got a great amount of curriculum writers that came in through. And then I started sharing and just putting in, because I knew, because she was personally interviewing every person who's hired in Tessa Kuri has been personally interviewed by her. Or by me. So there was no shortcuts to that. So yeah, she interviewed many people, and then,
Yeah, and I think with him it was, like the cooking aspect is one element, but the vision, for people to understand your vision, especially when you're, when a head chef is involved, but there's a executive chef point of view as well. So you have to be able to go, I know what you want to do, but there can only be one vision.
Yes.
And we all have to kind of go in that one direction. And he understood that, and he was very collaborative. He knew that he could really have his own creative kind of right in what he wanted to achieve as well, but at the same time, we knew what we wanted. And so it was alignment. Again, it was just compatibility and same vision. And it's your chefs are, it's a collaborative team effort.
But how was the interview process? He flew here, you went there. How did that work?
He was already here. And we met with him, and I met with him, and then with the chefs, if I was really happy, then the second trial that we would do, I would ask Panchali to join, so that we could do a tasting as well. But to be honest, we've done this enough times, and I have worked with Japanese chefs for long enough now to know what is going to work, what's not going to work. And from the get-go, we knew with our head chef now that it was the right match. And it's not in the cooking, it's in everything else. It's the people skills, it's the how are you going to understand this concept as a whole. So the food was, I knew he could make sushi. I knew that he'd be able to make the rice that needed to be on the menu and all the rest of it. The dishes were not the problem. It was, do you understand what we're trying to build here? And he did.
And has a fun character.
Yes,
to it. So
he had a lot of personality.
Very serious space that we have, but there is still that little bit of zest that comes in through him, and he can speak English. So that was fun because then he's able to interact and engage with a lot of guests instead of just having like a poker face and being very, very into the craftsmanship. He's able to have conversation, and that engagement part, I think, makes it even more special.
But I'm a firm believer, and I think it's because I am also an operator as well as a chef. I'm a firm believer in every restaurant. It's a collective. Even me, I should be able to be in and out of it, and it has to work. So these restaurants are built in mind where they have to work with or without us. Once they're formed, once the vision is in place, then it's there.
But in terms of the, omotenashi, if I'm not mistaken, the Japanese hospitality part, how were you able to, again, make sure that there was a team in place who was able to translate all of these visions for you?
I think just, again, selecting the team members who have had some sort of experience in Japanese restaurants, who understand the culture. Some of them had worked previously at Kinoya and moved on and then came back again because, it was Neha's 2.0. So it was easy. And right now, I think with any restaurant operations, sometimes, from the front of the house perspective, it's not a rocket science. I mean, you pretty much have the same sort of hospitality, the same sort of offering that happens and the class and the standard that is required. And but it comes to the know-how and the knowledge, that is where the back of the house team and the chefs and Neha come in to teach about the technicalities. But again, what helps is that the space was a small, compact restaurant. This is not a massive 200-seater restaurant. This is a 40, inside seating and plus 10 speakeasy. So it gets even more interesting because then the team is tight. The menu is smaller. Everything else is more compact, and then it gets easier to train the team and understand the vision faster than, to get through 200 dishes and on 200 covers. So it's more specialized.
And every single person comes from a background of they have worked within the Japanese universe at some point. It just makes life easier if you've interacted with that world, then it's easier for you to understand, So yeah, everybody had a little bit of knowledge in that to begin with.
Well, we've spoken a lot about, the restaurant design, the menu, the team. I now want to also understand the vision behind the speakeasy, because it's a beautiful, super cute space. It's a bit more out there. So explain to me the vision behind that.
Well, 3 years back, I quit drinking, consuming alcoholic beverages. And I think 4 years back, you did.
4 years ago.
But I think we always wanted to do something where we wanted people to enjoy it. And we don't have to primarily drink, but just to sit there and, listen to great music and create that vibe. I think this was something that both of us probably wanted in our home.
For
as
sure.
Our own
Then we got tired of going to bars where we were like, can it be
adult
quiet?
room?
Yeah.
But
also, Panchali loves bars. I think it's like, this is where I see the die-hard restaurateur, like, she's like a veteran when it comes to her love for, hotel, any kind of bar. Like, and I've seen it, like even with Tides when it was Maria. I've seen like her little, glimmers of her in these little bars. And I've always known and we both stopped drinking, but we both love the aspect of a bar, because, what's more joyful than watching people have the time of their lives, thanks to us. And I think that's kind of like, we live vicariously through that. But there was a gap in the market for me. It was the music element. There was no real kind of like very tiny Tokyo style small speakeasies where you go in and, you know, the bartender or the mixologist is changing the vinyl and making a martini. So for me, that element was missing. For her, she just wanted a great bar because she appreciates them, and she's been to enough now to know the good from the good to the bad. So I think it was like, again, we both just wanted a place for us to hang out, and we did. It's our favorite place to be with each other.
You know, the restaurant space is very tight. It's Tessa Kuri is not a massive, right? It's a 1,900 square foot. So we obviously had this conversation that, you know, where do we fit in this speakeasy? Because even whether to make money or to fit in a lot of people, you still need around 20-25 seater, right? Just to give that space. But then we went back and said, you know, speakeasies were never meant to be that big. It's actually supposed to be in the Prohibition era, like, you know, 10 people go underground and there's 10 friends sit together and then drink and have fun and then quietly leave. And fortunately enough for us, we were able to just exactly carve out a 12-seater. And we kept thinking, is it too tiny? Is it too small? But it feels like it's wonderful because, like she said, there's nothing like that in Dubai. And now every person who's walked in is just like, obviously they're like, wow, this is intimate, this is tight, but this is a speakeasy.
And it's also not hyper curated, right? It's not forced, like you see with all kind of best intentions, you know, people will go and go, we want to make it like that, but then they'll kind of like, I don't know, hyper curated. Whereas this was really like, we'd like this space. I think that other people will like this space. There's a martini element to it because it's a martini bar. So again, it's specialist. It goes back to our philosophy of doing one thing and doing it really well. But also it's kind of like, it's also growing into its own thing. We didn't open it going, okay, we know it's defined in what it's going to be. It's taking shape. And I think your customer is defining that for you as well. You know, we get requests already from my side of it, whereas Panchali works on the drinks program, I'm working on the music element of it, perhaps doing a calendar night there where collectors come in and, you know, have a listening night. So we have different interests in how we want to push it. But they're both really authentic interests.
So musically, first of all, it's all vinyl, correct?
Yes, it is.
Why did you decide to go down that route?
It's very interactive. I mean, there's no, you know, there's no phones allowed in the speakeasy. So people are engaging in a very different way, in a very old school way, where you know, the minute you take the phone element out, you realize people are so much more involved. And then, of course, when you've got that time and if you've got that company, what better way to appreciate music than to actually, you know, there's no skipping through it. You have to commit to listening to a track and to a side, and also some of the best music still is, you know, enjoyed on that kind of audio level. So it's an audio room, you know, to enjoy some of these great classics. I think it's just tapping into an old way of hospitality.
Yeah. Can I give a referral point to that? So, for example, back in the days when you went in a restaurant, you had a jukebox, right? And somebody went and played a song. And then people around were like, I love that song. And people would get up and dance. So something like that it happens a lot in Tessa Kuri because you can actually choose your vinyl and tell the bartender and play your music. And this table next to them, somebody went and changed their vinyl, played a song. And the other table was like, wow, we love that music. They start interacting and then they start talking. And then there are friendships that are being made because of music.
And then they go back to the supper club days.
Kind of.
Actually,
and you know, during my supper club, I used to have a vinyl playing.
Right, yes.
And I would have to keep turning it.
So it's just friendships being formed and people remember memories. And then, you know, they're just like 10 people sitting together. But there are times we have seen strangers coming in and friends leaving as friends from that room. And what else does one want? And then it just starts, the word has started to now go out because we never marketed the place out. And there's no picture of the speakeasy anywhere. We just wanted it to have that natural, the natural talk, like, have you been there? Have you been there?
And there's artistry to that, right? Like when you listen to an album and you really appreciate, if you're listening to a Coltrane album, it's beautiful because you have to commit to listening to the whole thing. And I don't know, we don't consume anything like that anymore. Everything is really fast paced. And I think it's a room where you slow down. You know, I've had multiple nights where, because it's multiple tables can sit there, it's not for a group. So we've had like 3 different tables sitting in the same room. And it's a bit of a social experiment, but it works, and people end up talking to each other and staying until 1 a.m. And, you know, some of them we found out were neighbors the other day, they didn't even know. So it's a very sweet room. It's kind of pausing time a little bit.
But share the story of what happened on the launch night.
Yeah, it was amazing. There were like people sitting on the floor.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to leave the room, and they were all different people at some point.
It's like a house party.
Yes, exactly. So,
nice.
You know, we had the launch of Tessa Kuri on 4th of Feb, and everybody wanted to be inside in there, because after they finished eating outside, and then they're like, we want to finish the night, but it can only take 10 to 12 people. And at some point, we found people sitting just on the floor and just chatting with other people, and Neha and I were just amazed. But it became like it was a groupie thing, and we were listening to music in there, sitting on the floor.
Different conversation, little silos.
And like 40 people packed, standing and sitting, but it had a vibe. And that's when both of us looked at each other and smiled. It's like, man, this is something that we had earned to create, and it's becoming that. And what else can one ask for?
And when it came to the drinks curation, you know, you mentioned specifically about martini bar. Why did you decide to go down that road?
I think that I have to give it to her. I think her love for martinis from Knot, I would say.
100%.
Give a shout out to them.
Yes.
And the whole, the sexiness about martinis, and, you know, again, the vintage aspect to it, the artistry behind it, and one single thing to do it properly is what we want to do. And we have a great bartender, mixologist, and he's very well known in India, and we moved him here. And I had tasted some of his martinis when we were doing the cocktail trials in India, and I was like, wow, you can make some really nice, mean, dirty ones. And then when Neha said that it should be a martini listening room, I was like, we have the perfect person to do it. And
there's something really, like, again, this, you know, it's also a bar made by two women, and I think there's something really, like, almost cinematic about women drinking martinis, you know, at a certain age. Like, you imagine a certain kind of a demographic doing that, and I think it was just aspirational. We made that because that is, in a way, us. That's another woman, and that's that's Panchali's husband. That's, you know, the great men and women to enjoy the space. And we just envisioned, like, I don't know, there were real people in mind when we saw it.
And so Pradeep, as a man, came in with, you know, what men would like, as, you know, in their martini. So that's why we had the smoked one, and we, you know, we're smoking the olives and using the brine in it, so to give that little masculinity kick in the offering too. But each martini is beautiful. It's especially curated for that room. And as we keep going further, we are going to invite a lot of bartenders across the globe to come and take a bar takeover and only do martinis in there and showcase that specialized martini.
And can I ask, do you, as a general guest, you need to book, or you just walk in?
It's advised to book. If you're coming for dinner, then just put in a note saying you want to go to a speakeasy.
Okay.
It's tiny.
Reserve before,
Because I can imagine it getting quite crowded quite quickly.
Especially on weekends, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we give the first rights to enter to our regular diners who are there. We tell them that, listen, if after dining, if you want to proceed to the speakeasy, you get the first rights of refusal or acceptance. But a lot of people have started booking it, especially for late nights.
Some people just come for that because it has a tiny little bar menu as well as a food menu. And I saw a couple there the other day that came just for that. So
I remember Valentine's Day. That was our... Everybody wanted to be in there. It was like, okay, there has to be either one couple to take the whole buyout to make it very, very special and
that would be romantic. Somebody should do that.
But there were a lot of couples in there after dinner who were sitting in the martini rooms and, you know, having a great time.
No, it's really special. And I think we know that because we've had that customer experience there as well, right? We've sat there with other customers and we've enjoyed the room in itself, and you get it, like, why it's so special. It's different. And it's also, you forget, it's very immersive. So when you're in there, you almost forget that Tessa Kuri is just the space outside.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you, because, you know, you mentioned earlier it's a very zen space, the restaurant. You walk in and you have that beautiful Japanese tranquility. And at the same time, the kitchen is very quiet. You know, they're very focused. Everybody's, you know, making sure that everything is beautifully smooth, which is great. But then when you enter the bar, the speakeasy, it takes you away to a completely different place.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm saying that is because what's so nice is that when you're walking into the restaurant, you do see a metropolis of Dubai. You've got these skyscrapers surrounding you, and the noise and the traffic. And then as soon as you enter the space, it's quiet, super zen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and then you get transported again into this beautiful martini bar, and you're like, where am I?
Exactly.
You know, so it's so cool.
But first you go through that dishwashing area.
Exactly.
And you're like, what is happening? Because you go from zen to like chaos. That's the other thing,
and I haven't mentioned that because it is, you know, you walk through and you're like, and you see the dishwashing and guides and, oh, hi, and then you just push the door and then bang.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You're making me miss it.
Let's go.
It's close today.
But again, you know, how was it designing that space? Did you already have that in mind?
We knew we wanted to be mid-century modern. We definitely wanted that element of, you know, the legs and the beautiful leather chairs and
the mahogany
color.
She
loved the blue was her favorite, and that had to be incorporated.
Yes, during the whole branding process, I said I don't know, but I like the steel blue color. Can we somehow incorporate that somewhere in the Pantone?
It's literally everywhere. Our menus are blue. Our wall is blue.
Inside the speakeasy, not in Tessa Kuri.
But it worked with the mahogany.
So she gave me, like I said, I had very few requests, and I was like, I just want this,
really
this,
prominent ones.
So, but yes, we needed that to have that from the light to the dark to the moodiness in there. And I mean, I don't like using the word like gentleman's lounge, but I think it's become like a. But yeah, like she said, mid-century, modern and dark.
You almost think, oh, I wish I could smoke a cigar here. And
it's a library.
People ask us all the time. They're like, we cannot. I'm like, no, you can't because we're sharing the vents. But
okay.
So
anyway, still a super cool place.
Thank you.
So once everything was completed, right, and then you went into sort of testing phase and soft launch. Mm-hmm. That was sort of November 2025 sort of time, right?
Yeah, 28th of November.
28th of November.
I mean, that's the official day that we opened the doors. But yeah, we started like soft opening on 22nd of November, 23rd of November.
And, you know, you would have had your sort of friends and family. But what I wanted to really ask you is, when you had, whether it was chef friends or media, how was their feedback initially? Because, you know, these guys, you know them all very, very well. They dine everywhere, discerning palates. What was the feedback, first of all?
It was good. It was honestly...
It was. And I think I kept telling her, I think this was one of my first projects after a very long time that we got, I would say, close to 95-96% approval. And that does not happen because, you know, you kind of sit on a 60-70% people, the likeness of a restaurant and with all the comments. But I think we did a very good job in not inviting the media immediately. And we were very sure about it. So we started very slow with very immediate family who would not talk outside, would give us actual feedback. Friends in the industry who would, you know, give us, you know, the criticism came in a very positive track. But I think once we kind of started opening the doors and people started coming in a very controlled way, which was great. Yeah. We didn't want to like have 100 people and just have chaos. So we said that we'll take the hit, but let's start slow. Let's have 40 people day one, 45 the next day, 50 next day. And the team is also ready. But there was 95-96%, I would say, likeness to this restaurant. People loved it. And that is what I was like, wow.
No, it was. Very quickly we realized that, when you know this, when you, especially from a food point of view, and I know I did it, but, you know, I faced it with Kinoya, that you know how off the mark you are. But Tessa Kuri was really different because I was like, wow, this is, I always look, as a chef who's eating outside at openings and things, I always take away with, wow, that was a really flawless soft opening. And I felt that way about Tessa Kuri as well. If anything, I think it was the other things that needed to be tweaked, like, you know, the ambience and, you know, all the rest of it. But the food was really on the money.
Yeah.
From the jump.
But the thing is also, again, if you've not been there, the first thing you see, apart from the sort of hostess desk and all of that sort of thing, is the kitchen. It's the bar. You see a pure open kitchen. And if you're sitting on that bar, as you mentioned, there is nowhere to hide.
Yes.
Everything is done clinically in front of you. You can't make mistakes. You can't cut your finger. You can, it's all of those things.
Right.
So
it was happening for sure.
Sure. But also, why was it important to have the chef's front and center?
Okay, so I mean, I think there was a operational, obviously, element to it, because the hand rolls need to be given to you ideally as quickly as they're made, just to retain their freshness and all the rest of it. So the live cooking element was very important, because this is food that needs to be eaten straight away. And the closer to kitchen even the table seatings were, the open kitchen, the more fresh your food's going to be. So the counter seating was really, the counter cooking was important, more from not the showmanship, that's secondary, but the product, integrity was the first. That was the best way to retain what we were trying to give you.
Because it is, I mean, some people would say it's very dangerous, because people can see everything that you're doing and you're giving away trade secrets, blah, blah, blah. No. I don't think so. I think it shows a real level of skill.
For sure.
Actually.
For sure. And I mean, sushi, the hand rolls, of course, yes, they're beautiful, and the fish is all on display and beautiful wooden boxes and all the rest of it. But the making of sushi is such an art. Yeah. Like when our chefs are making the nigiris in front of you, oh my God, it's like, that's mesmerizing.
It's therapeutic.
And I think that's also why people come to the restaurant, right? Like, so, I think even as a solo diner, that's a great dining experience. So it works for that.
And for the both of you also, what I loved, apart from the restaurant, was seeing the two of you on the front cover of the caterer, right? And I thought that was just incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was not expected, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I want to know, how was that for the both of you, to not necessarily the interview, but also to really be on such a massive stage in terms of, from a journalistic perspective, and to really showcase what this beautiful restaurant is all about.
And I just want to add anything before I wanted to take this journey, that that cover was not expected, and it wasn't pushed for, was not asked for, and it happened organically. And you know what I mean, with all of this aspect to
yes.
it. It was, it wasn't a paid advertorial. It was just
very striking cover, though. It's very Vogue-esque, I have to say, because it's super cool the way they've done it.
We kept making fun every time we had a picture together. It was like, we're going to look like bouncers together, like, the ladies' bar too.
But it was so important, because women are, still underrepresented, and we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this industry. So it was it was a thing that needed to happen too. We're very grateful that that it happened, but it's also very deserving.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
are two women who have done a lot in this industry, and why not? So yes, it felt like about time.
When we gave the interview, we weren't told about it.
Yeah, and we did not expect it.
No, we did not expect it.
Because things like that don't
I mean, kind of sometimes expect, like, why not? I mean, it's high time, but I mean, we didn't push for it. We said they were doing a center page.
So they just said, we're going to do an interview,
Tessa Kuri,
center page.
Center page.
We'll do a super casual chat.
Right, but they got a photographer, and they were taking our pictures, and it was like, that's kind of.
And it was on site?
It was no, it wasn't. It was just in like a studio.
Okay.
It was in
11
Leavenwood in the corner room. So
okay, nice.
That time the construction was going on. Yeah, home to home, anywhere. We could have taken Kinoya, and they said it's for a center page, and we're just taking a few pictures and everything else. That's why till the opening day there were no renders shared. There was no interiors, and that was another aspect that people did not know how Tessa Kuri looked. So
brilliant. Yeah.
And then when that happened, after 3 months, I think. Actually, just before Tessa Kuri.
It was the November issue.
I think so.
Yes, it was
in the middle of the night. I'm subscribed to Caterer. She's not. She's like, oh, look, our article has come out. Can you open it? And it was
I'm still like, can you open it? Because I haven't got a paid subscription. Yeah. And she was like, it's not. It's a cover. And I went, what do you mean?
So the link went straight to the cover page. And probably she couldn't open it, or she couldn't see it, or she did, and she let me see her reaction to it. And I was like, no way. And then I took a screenshot, and I was like, Neha, it's a cover page. Like, wow. So, and of course, at that point, you just feel like, you know what? I hope this also opens doors for many other women, and they understand that sometimes they cannot not hear you or see you, and they have to give you that platform. And
so it was such a cool cover, and again, the story behind it is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Congratulations, because it was just like, yes. Honestly, and the work behind that you've done
But that's what the editorial team told us. I said once they saw the whole story and our interview, there was like, there is no way we can do anything less than that to give them the cover page story.
Yeah.
So why was it important? And you mentioned the official opening was February the 4th, but you'd already had a couple of months worth of operations. What were the main tweaks? Because you mentioned your 95%, everything was rocking and rolling, let's say. What were the main sort of tweaks that you had to change to make sure that everything really was working up to the full speed?
I think so. December is always a hard month, right? Because especially this year, a lot of people were traveling. So we knew that we just need to do a soft launch right now, just to again understand what is working, what's not working. I think our main, I think the fixing was the outside aspect to the restaurant, not the inside part of it. I think the logistical issues, the valet downtown is notoriously known for the traffics and where will the cars get parked, and then the valet system. So we had to make sure that every person who came in had a very seamless journey to Tessa Kuri and out, that their car was well received. When they walked out, their car came at the point. So it was I think we were working on the logistical issue about it.
Right.
Then I think Neha and I had taken this decision that, we're going to just market it ourselves. So we had to understand that how organically, with talking to teams and other parties, how do we just keep marketing it? What else, which areas have we missed out on? Now, where do we push? What do we do? Because we did not hire any PR company in the launch part of it. The first 2 months we just did on our own with our goodwill in the market and our followings. So I think that was another aspect. So I think the restaurant was set, but I think all the other areas outside the nucleus of running the restaurants was what we wanted to fix in those 2 months, so that the launch was then a hard launch, saying that, okay, now, everything is done. We're ready. We worked on our operations. We worked on the quality control and the timings of the temakis, every aspect of it. And that's what restaurants should do. And they should take their time, fix themselves, take a momentum, start slow, and let it organically build up, instead of just have that big party on day 1 or day 5, and then feed some sort of food which does not again reflect what your kitchen is producing. So even for us at our launch party, we just did the nigiris and temakis. That's what we did.
It was beautiful as well.
It was just 100 people in there. We said we don't want more than that. And throughout the night, people kept going and eating lots of temakis, great champagne. And that is what we wanted to showcase and have fun. And like we told you, those 14 people didn't want to leave the speakeasy. So.
But then again, I want to ask you, you both know certainly the Dubai dining landscape. Now, you've got the beautiful restaurant, you've got the product from both of you, which is phenomenal. But knowing that you have this forever hardcore competitive restaurant landscape here and the bars, how do you then plan to keep the vibes and the concept as fresh as possible when it comes to being at the very top of what you do?
I think our business is the long game, and I think in Dubai, where there's so much coming up, and people's attention span is constantly diverted, and the market now requires you to be a little bit more patient. And if your product is good and you believe in it and you're ticking all the boxes, and we've seen it already in the 2 months, people start coming back. They'll do the thing. They'll make sure that they've checked everything else out. But end of the day, if it's delicious food, you're going to go back. And I think the proof's in the pudding. So, yes, it's not the market it used to be, maybe 5-6 years ago, where there was less. But then it just means that, you stand out more eventually.
I mean, we're already running some successful restaurants still in a competitive market. We always talk about it. But the fact is that these, say, Kinoya 11/5 was built 5 years back. So, we've already had that momentum going on. What Tessa Kuri will benefit or is benefiting is the kind of following in the database that both of us have collected. And that's what happens with any group or individual. And they open their second or third restaurant, they carry the previous database and their following and their goodwill to the next one, and hoping that it is another success. Yes, it is difficult right now. I think Dubai is going through a massive, very competitive landscape in terms of the offering that is there versus the ratio and the consumption. But then again, the smart aspect to it, and which I think restaurants are adapting now, is smaller spaces. It's easier to fit in a 30-40 seater, doing specialized some things, and that is what I think Tessa Kuri could benefit. But gone are those days where you could have a successful restaurant, put your feet up and like, done, I'm good for the next 10 years. Unfortunately, and I was just talking about this just with somebody yesterday, our generation is going to grow and get older and tired faster than previous restaurateurs. I'm already feeling like I'm in my 50s because of the stress, but you have to be on it every day. And this is where the differentiator is going to be between a hardcore, passionate veteran or a restaurateur or a chef versus somebody who is like, it's not working, let's...
Yeah, the trend-based kind of, in and out. I think I can just enter the market and be here. And I think when I look at Dubai compared to London, one thing I really realize is this is a community-led market. People support people, and it doesn't mean anything where you've come from and what clout you bring with you. People are supporting their community here, and that goes a long way. So yeah, I think it's but yeah, you can't take your finger off the pulse. It's every day is a new thing to, and we also went into an area where it's a new demographic for us. Downtown was a challenge for both of us, which is very exciting because you're learning something new. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're not learning anything new. So for us, downtown was very interesting. And we're tapping into it. We're seeing a completely different market, for me at least, from what I see at Kinoya to what I see in downtown.
And is that more sort of locals, as in people who live around the area, or you're seeing more sort of tourists?
I think on the weekday, there's a lot of repeat clients, which is great, just around downtown because of the traffic movements, and it's a dinner place, so we're seeing many people. But I think weekends, tourists not so much, because again, it's a new brand. It's just been 1.5, 2 months since we've opened up, and we've not gone on that spectrum of the tourists spotting that place. But I think it's just the whole of Dubai is traveling. But I do see that a lot of Indians have started coming in because our backgrounds, and then talking about it, and
it's
then
word of mouth.
And then of course at 50 Best Talks, I was talking about Tessa Kuri, and she being number 1 UAE and number 2 in MENA, and having now Tessa Kuri as a brand, so that is now popping everywhere. So it's just a brand that is at it now. We can both see it in the last 10 days. It has started having a beautiful incline. And then the word's like starting to spread, which
look,
it's a ripple effect. It's
absolutely. But the other thing is, now you nicely went into 50 Best, and
a little plug from my sister.
It was quite the party, I have to say, and it was phenomenal to see the both of you doing so incredibly well, and a huge
round of applause.
Congrats.
Right here.
Now, congrats to the both of you, of course. Now, Panchali, I'm going to start with you first of all. Again, what I think is also incredible is, if we go back to 2022, the restaurants that were on the 50 Best list, most of them were sort of the bigger names that we've always seen. International. But then this year's list was really homegrown, right? And I just felt incredibly proud to see where the community has come. And the names that are on that list 100% deserve to be on that list. Now, Panchali, for you saw it at the very, very beginning with 11 Woodfire. How was that moment for you for the restaurant to keep climbing?
Yeah, I mean, I think 11 has had quite a journey in the last 3 years. It's been a roller coaster ride. It's gone up, down, and I've seen movements. I entered at 35, and then I came to 14, and then last year I had dropped down to 28. So it was like it for me. I went in this year with 2 facts in my head. Fact number 1 was that Neha was going to be number 1. I had no doubts that Kinoya is going to be number 1, and I kept telling and announcing it way before, because in my heart there's love, but I also need a solid restaurant. And fact number 2, I did not expect any number for 11 Wood Fire. I went in thinking I will be even 50, because you don't know what the demographics are, who are the voters, every year they change, who like what. I did what I could. We found that stability with Brando, and I said, we've done good collaborations. We found that consistency in the menu, but then again, it's also a popularity sort of voting, and it's just like she said, it just doesn't encompass the great food that you make. It's also your peers and how much you're loved, and how many times people visit that. So this year I went with no expectation, and what that made me feel is having a heart attack with every number that was being called, because before, in the previous years, I would be like, oh, you know what, I will start having a heart attack near the teens, because that's where my restaurant is and might be. But this year I was like, I could be 50. So when the countdown started, everybody around me was also panicking. I was like, oh my God.
It's such a painful experience.
It is, because you just don't know. And, and you're happy. You're glad that you've made it in the top 50. But let's face it, it's a race, right? And when you're running the race and and the gunshot goes in, everybody wants to be number 1. Nobody's running to be like, oh, I'm fine with number 8. So you hope and you wish that you land in a good and a respectable place, even when it's a competition in the top 50. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. It's not the most pleasant spot to be in, especially with 11, because it could have been anywhere. But then, I think when the teens started, and I think once we came at 28, I told the team, listen, it's just, even if you're 27, it's a gain. I'm happy. Then I was less nervous, and I started enjoying the whole ride. And I was like, oh, okay, now we've got something going. But then, of course, I was really happy with my number. I think it was very respectful. We worked hard towards it. And yeah, when the team started, at some point, you're also like, oh, I could be in top 10. That would be wonderful. But even 14 is a great number. That's especially from 28 to 14. I thought that I would be probably the highest, the climber or something. But Reef took it, I think, right? Or somebody else took it. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So, right. But no, that was just amazing. And that gives you that thing that you're doing something right, and the restaurant is great, and it's packed up, and thank you, 50 Best.
And then Neha, for you. So you were officially voted number 1 best restaurant in Dubai, and a huge congratulations. And again, within the demographic of the country and the competition and all of these things, it's incredibly, it's an amazing thing, especially from also the humble beginnings of the restaurant. Now, how were your nerves on the night?
It's honestly, it's a collective, it's a collective shared experience of the same thing, where everybody's just like, wherever you were, you just want to be a little bit better than that, right? So we were at 3, but I knew that was not going to be the case. And I actually did a little ceremonial goodbye 3, that was a wonderful year. Never again will that happen kind of thing. Just kind of closing in on last year. So of course I thought the only way is, of course, we're going to go down a bit on the list. So yeah, it's crazy. And the sad thing is, you never really fully appreciate it in the moment, because you're always a little bit perplexed.
Emotions, right?
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. You don't think that, we're not loud people. So, as in Kinoya as a team, we're just very muted. So for us, it was just very, oh God, no, we have to go on stage. Oh no, this was not what, it was wonderful. It was confusing.
I remember just standing up and
but that's
so happy.
But my friend knew. It's so weird. Knew. She was just, and I
kept
saying,
she did.
I kept saying,
she's like, stop. I was like, no.
It went on for months, because she was just like, no, and she would say this to people as well. She's like, well, Kinoya. And I was like, can you stop? But can you imagine the belief that someone has to have in you to even tell others about it? And she did. And so I was like,
not for a day I had doubted that she's not going to be, because she had already become number 3. And then you see the love and the support that somebody has, And I knew that her love and support for the brand had only grown, because when you talk to people around, and the noise and her rooms being full every time, it's a testimony of that you cannot go down from there. And that is what I knew. And I said, and also, when I told her, when you'll also open Tessa Kuri, and people will see another level of craftsmanship, it gives a bit more visibility to you and your other brand, and always happens, gives you a bit more surety. And so I had no doubt, and I mean, obviously, till then I was like, she is going to be number one, and she became number one.
Amazing.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much.
Really,
thank you. It's amazing.
Have the bookings gone up? I mean, is the room full constantly now since that time, or was it before?
Kinoya has always been, touch wood, a busy restaurant, but no, 50 Best has an impact. Always. We've seen it. We saw it with One to Watch when we got that, and this year we really did see. It was funny. I avoided Kinoya the first week after we won the award, because I just have chronic attention fatigue, so I hide as soon as something like that happens. So I didn't go, but I had to go in to obviously see the team. So I went in very briefly on the second day, and it was the first time since the opening, or like the opening phase, where there were these queues. And this is the year we turned 5 in April. I was getting ready to be like, okay, there's going to be a little bit of it's going to go down a tiny bit maybe starting this year. So to see this, the year you're turning 5, it's just so, like, that's emotional. That's bigger than the stage. That's incredible.
Because what's really amazing also is that when I've spoken to sort of previous chefs and restaurateurs, not so much about 50 Best, but more sort of Michelin, they say the same. They can't sleep. They're obviously talking, what's going to happen here, you've both experienced it as well. But for me personally, I love the fact how you hit the nail on the head when it comes to the difference between the UAE and London, especially that market. And again, it's a very competitive market, London. But here, everything seems to be exactly community-driven, supporting each other however you possibly can, and cheering one another on.
Absolutely. The list reflects this now more than ever, and it's I think it's just how 50 Best is made up, and it shows it, and it's shown us time and time again. It's been a very good establishment for us, but yeah, it's definitely community list.
So look, then when it comes to, and I want to sort of move on to a little bit about the power of supper clubs. Now, obviously, you know all about the supper clubs there, but also when, Panchali, if I may also talk about Gabu a little bit before it opened, you were also doing a supper club type setup.
Yeah, of course.
Which was really nice to showcase the brand. And then, again, Gabriella, she also entered the list with Girl and the Goose, and she has a background in supper clubs. Now, I just feel that supper clubs are really having their moment.
Or even Manal.
Exactly.
He used to run a supper club as well, if I'm not mistaken.
A pop-up.
A pop-up, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But what is it, do you think? This is the question for both of you. That why are people so drawn to supper clubs in the first place?
Look, I mean, from a chef's point of view, it's, we do it because the barrier to entry is too crazy when you start out. But I think from a consumer point of view, again, Dubai is small. It's still growing into it. I mean, it's a much bigger city now than it was 10 years ago or whatever. But it's a very intimate way to dine. It's people are seeking connection through meeting other people that are like-minded, looking for a different experience, looking for a different dining experience. For me, when I started the supper club, Dubai was still big. There were still the bigger names 10 years ago. I mean, I started the supper club 8 years ago, so I'd been making it since 2016. 2017 is when the supper club started. Back then, you still went to the bigger restaurants. The smaller thing was completely non-existent. So I think it was a different dining experience. Now, I think it's just where you can go and have food that is niche, that is more, I don't know, it's a different experience. It's just a different dining experience, I think, and people crave that.
You kind of said that. I think it's a platform for unconventional chefs, right?
Yeah.
It's a testing ground to see if you know how to cook or people appreciate that. And I think it's more like a testing kitchen that supper clubs were formed. I think that was for passionate cooks, but I would still say who are trying to find out that could
If
they
they-
make
if
it
they
big
could.
if they could.
Exactly.
And I think in your format, what happened is it started from there, but then you built a massive database that kind of converted into Kinoya.
And I didn't, for me, it was really, I mean, I see this with, I don't know what the process is for a lot of the intention is with a lot of the new supper clubs, but for me, it was, it was just a means to continue to cooking food that I wanted to, but also, it's also to test your viability. It carried on for longer than probably, I mean, I ran it for 4.5 years before COVID put it to a screeching halt, but I was very nervous because I was like, is this a viable idea? And I think your demand and supply will teach you that. And I remember I could dial it up or dial it down and the demand wouldn't end. And I think that's a great way for you to be reassured and go to whether it's your investor or whether you're putting your own money to see, okay, there's bones to this.
You know what's really interesting also I found is that, because I also speak to a lot of business leaders on the show, and the amount of times that they really say, well, we went to this supper club and actually this person really impressed me and I could see the passion and so on and so forth, and then that's how we invested. And I just think it's almost like an X Factor type of way to audition someone.
It's so true.
But very, 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 under the radar, so to speak, because and also I think because I swear to God, I spoke to my wife yesterday about it, and I said randomly to her, because I mentioned that you both were coming onto the show, and I said, would you consider doing a supper club with me? And I thought she was going to take the piss out of me or whatever, but immediately she was like, yes, I would. I was like, oh, really? You would?
But
because it's about the hosting. She said it's not about the food. For her, it's about the hosting and meeting people.
But not everybody wants, that when I opened the supper club, when I did the supper club, there was no way that was a realistic dream to have a restaurant. It was just literally one foot in front of the other. I was cooking and I was being able to facilitate. Initially, it was facilitating a hobby. And then it became my job. But and somebody said this to me the other day at 50 Best. They said, how much would it take for you to do a supper club in your house, like now? And I was like, no, because it's my home again. And, I think for some people it's a lifestyle choice. For me, it was a job. And no part of it was easy. I mean, I used to cook, serve, clean up, all of it. And there's a very romantic element to it now that I look back on it.
But it was
in
6
the
days
story.
a week, if I remember correctly, right? You were doing 6 days a week?
Yeah, towards the end, because I was so scared that what if this shuts down and, what if I can't? It was my only source of income. So there wasn't so much romance to it as there was, this is my job. And it was really tough. So I think but at no point, I think until much later did I think a restaurant was the possible outcome from it. Because the dream was just too big. It was too crazy.
What was the feedback also for the two chefs, from Gerbu when they were doing the pop-up, the supper club? Did they find that sort of environment challenging or not really?
Of course. I mean, the menu that we had, it needed an industrial kitchen. But I think what the whole aspect for us to do that was Gerbu took a long time to build out. And at no point I wanted the word to kind of dilute or die down. So we were doing things to just keep the word and the excitement or, the word in the market. But also, again, as a testing ground, just to see, because I was doing modern Emirati cuisine for the first time. And then I had a Romanian chef who was cooking Emirati food. So it was also, we were just cooking and testing and then trying to get that validation from the chefs primarily that we had invited and other people in the media, that what did they think about it? That is it, are we on the right track? What is happening there? And just to keep the momentum and the word going for Gerbu that, it's coming. And I think it wasn't for us, it wasn't to make money. It was just so that, we're just getting, the visibility,
and it worked.
And the feasibility of it, both visibility and feasibility, that is this going to work? Do they like it? Do they not like it? So I think it was just, again, for us, just testing grounds and just keeping Gerbu's name. It was like a marketing, as one of the marketing aspects to it, because I wanted to do some different things for an opening this time. And I'd seen how supper clubs kind of can make the right noise if you're doing the right way. And I had the right support from Her Highness. So I think it was fun. It was a great experiment and did well, and then created a huge, I think, follower movement on Instagram for Gerbu through those that 2 months of supper clubs that we did.
Absolutely, but also, doing modern Emirati food with a non-Emirati chef is also a challenge in itself.
Talk to me about it. I've gone through this so many times doing Japanese restaurants and Emirati restaurant and wood fire, but yes, Garbu had it, it had its trials and tribulations.
And when are you doing, Inja and Tessa Kuri together as a pop-up? I'm waiting for that 6 hands or 4 hands dinner.
We will.
Because I think that would be a beautiful concept as well. Because they both lend themselves really well, no?
Yeah, whenever she allows me. She still has to eat at Inja first, so I have to take her down to Delhi and feed her some Inja food, and then...
It's amazing.
I can't wait.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I really want to go. I feel very bad, a bad friend for not having done it already, but soon.
It's okay.
Soon.
But for the two of you, apart from having Tessa Kuri be super busy and booked out, what are the aspirations for the restaurant?
I mean, see, it's nice to always have awards and rewards come your way and the recognitions that hopefully that one it deserves. But I think right now we just want it to make money. And whatever now, I'm telling you this, if you'd asked me a couple of years back, I was like, no, I want my Michelin star and I want my 50 best and I want this and Gomeo and whatever else that we can win. But I think we've gone through that phase and we already have those recognitions for other restaurants. And I hope Tessa Kuri gets what it deserves. But right now it's important is for it to make money because, again, we are both building our lives and our companies. So our main reason is just to have continuous footfall and then hopefully take the brand and then do expansion plans with it and take it to places because it'll fit anywhere.
It is a beautiful place though,
Thank you.
What I'm a huge fan of is, as you said, it's not a monster 200-300 seat. It's a beautifully designed space where you feel at home, you feel relaxed, you're going to get delicious food, fantastic ambience, and if you want a cheeky martini, you know where to go find it, you know what I mean? So it's very unique in that sense.
I think so.
Especially in that location as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, you think, when you have your blinkers on, you do make something that's very specific to, it's us, it's our DNA. And that's because we don't really know what else is going on in that particular space. So we made the thing that we wanted to make. Yeah.
I mean, even
happy with it.
This year, a lot of people very strangely at the 50 best asked us, oh, so is Tessa Kuri? And I was like, no, Tessa Kuri just opened a month back. It's not on the list. But for that sort of an affirmation and some people to have that belief that Tessa Kuri should also be on the list in a couple of days of opening is just a sort of a great motivation to just think that I guess it does deserve the recognition and awards if it comes its way in this year or next year. But for now, I think we're just having fun because it's our new baby. And
it's a new baby. We got to get it to
it's crawling
to the walking. Yeah.
So
30 days.
We've now come to the quick fire round.
Okay.
The very famous quick fire round. Now, I'm going to ask you
laughing, but
the latest one that we ask everyone on the show, which is probably by far the hardest question. So, Panchali, I'm going to start with you.
Why?
Gives me time.
All right. So,
why?
Can you tell me your favorite ingredient?
My favorite ingredient. Wow. Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Yeah. I've been recently. I don't know if
where from?
I think Greek one.
So hardcore Greek.
Yeah.
Olive oil. Okay, very good.
Because of late I'm just obsessed about olive oil. I cook all my food in olive oil. I wanted olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neha, for you?
Oh God, that's tricky. Coriander.
Coriander.
I love coriander.
Right.
This is the one thing I would panic if it's not in my fridge.
Really?
I would have never thought.
Coriander.
I like it.
I will never. You'll never find me without coriander.
All
I
right.
would have never thought it's
spicy or pickled?
Spicy.
Pickled.
Pickled. Okay. Hand roll or wood-fired skewers?
Hand rolls. Hand rolls.
Hand rolls.
Hand rolls. All right. Negroni or martini?
Martini.
Martini.
All right. Well, I thought I'll try and get one of you. Smoked or cured?
Smoked.
Cured.
Now, Panchali, apart from Japanese, as of this moment right now, what are your top 3 favorite cuisines to eat?
Thai, Chinese, Indian.
Neha, for you?
Mexican, Thai, Chinese.
Yeah. Indians.
We're
love
just
Chinese.
Indians.
Yeah, we just
in
love.
the end, we're just brown girls.
It's okay. Mexican Indian is also pretty much.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm waiting for that also.
That's definitely.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
has to be on the cards in Dubai at some point, you know. Yeah. Anyways, Panchali, can you tell me your top 3 favorite items on the Tessa Kuri menu?
I mean dishes.
Yes.
Toro temaki, toro nigiri, and the wagyu nigiri. And I love I'll give you one more. I love the beef kushikatsu. It's my favorite. It's a kushiyaki and a katsu together. Bundles of best of both worlds.
My Lord.
Oof, love it.
Neha, for you?
the nodoguru, which she pushed
Yeah,
for us to. It was her one request. The daikon, because I love daikon and I love that technique, and the acai.
Yum.
Very, very nice.
It's really terrible that you're
Let's
doing
go
this
eat.
on a
I'm
Monday
sorry,
when we're closed.
but I have to, you know, it's part of the job. Now, for the both of you, what advice would you give for people such as yourselves who are looking to have business partners and go into it quite seriously? What would be your advice?
I think, there's a very famous saying that you are born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. So listen more and talk less. And I think this is what I've learned. And try and listen to your partners or your investors a little bit more and understand the process more. This needs serious level of passion. This is not for the weak anymore. The whole restaurant industry, I've been in it for 23 years, has changed drastically. You need to have a thick skin. You need to have a strong heart and a very strong backbone for this, because you're in it for good. So my only advice is just, have a great mind, a solid heart, a lot of passion, and a very solid backbone.
Neha?
From a partnership point of view, I would say, don't do it with people you don't have shared values with. In the end, you're going to have a lot of discussions about that. And, like Panchali said, I think do it with somebody whose advice you value. So when when they have something to say, you're learning. And I don't know, don't go with somebody who knows as much as you, perhaps more in a different way. Adding value to each other. There has to be. You have to learn from every kind of, relationship in your life, and your partner should be no different.
Ladies, I have to say, it's been absolutely fascinating to have you both here, and an honor.
Thank you.
As always, I will put everything in the show notes from a social media perspective so that everybody can follow you, hit you up, and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
All that's left for me to say is, on behalf of the Chef JKP Podcast, thank you very, very much for being on the show. And I'm not going to wish you the very best of luck, because I know that anything that both of you touch is solid gold. You have the Midas touch, I will say. And I genuinely mean that because
Thank you.
The concepts that you have both been involved with previously to Tessa Kuri are phenomenal. The passion, the love, everything that goes into what you do really shows. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I really cannot wait to see where the concepts are going to go. And looking forward to coming in for a cheeky martini soon.
Yes,
Let's
absolutely.
do it. But thank you. Thank you so much, James. Thank you. You've always been a great support, and you've always empowered women.
You have,
throughout your career, throughout this journey. So thank you. And if there was one thing, probably it might be my last podcast, and it had to be with you, probably for both of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a fantastic conversation that was. Panchali and Neha, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your incredible story behind your amazing brands. And of course, Tessa Kuri is a little gem of a restaurant. So go and get booked in. Just another insightful conversation. And look, when they are together, you can tell they are yin and yang. It's like they're lifelong partners, They've been sisters for life, and they've been collaborating for so long. It's amazing to see that. look, as always, all of the details will be in the show notes. To all of you listening or watching, if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to support the show. The only thing I'll ask is that you share this episode with someone who loves food, the restaurants, or hospitality. And if you could, give us a little 5-star review on any podcast platform, as it genuinely helps to build the show and discover the podcast. Also, a massive thank you to our headline sponsor, Valrhona, for supporting the show. You can also, by the way, support the show by picking up one of our amazing bottles, thermos flasks, and they keep your drinks hot, cold, and they look incredible. And, they're the thing to have this season, by the way. All of those links will be, of course, in the show notes. Well, we've come to another end of the show. Thank you so much for staying on until the very, very end. This is Chef JKP signing out. Until next time, food is memories.